Well, good morning, everybody. Here's a brief overview of some of the bigger things we're watching here over the next couple of weeks, and it starts with the powerful system that is continuing to roll through parts of California. After yesterday's very strong wind event, plus the incredibly heavy snows we've seen throughout the mountain ranges in California, you notice that the trajectory of the flow is just hammering this mountain range just to the north of LA this morning. That's not to ignore the heavy rains that have come through northern parts of California, where we still have over 500,000 customers without power today, early this morning. But this system is eventually going to get into the Great Basin, move its way into the northern plains, and deliver some snow to places that really, really do need it. Now, just taking a look early this morning, there we go. I want to show you last night into early this morning at these two large systems, one in the southeast and one in the west. And as the sun rises this morning, we're watching this one curl its way up and eventually head out here to the open Atlantic. But I did notice this morning as the sun was coming up, some of the dense fog we're still dealing with here, and also some of it in the plains as well. But let's go ahead and add up the recent rainfall. This is the last 72 hours. Just take a quick snapshot here of what came in over the weekend, and you put it with the previous system and look at the west. Many locations picking up 6 to 10 plus inches of rain. On the snowy side of it, we did get some decent snows this weekend in parts of the Rockies and parts of the Great Basin, but the hardest hit areas were here with up to 2 feet of snow already getting added through last night. So this doesn't include the overnight hours into parts of the Sierra Nevada this weekend. And then you can see the heavy snows that hit the front range of the Rockies and extended up into parts of Montana. Now, just giving you some bigger picture things, this is our season to date percent of normal snow. I put this in my report that you can see every day online. It just kind of gives us an idea of who's had the snow and who has not. And if you look across the west, these numbers are looking good, but they don't look nearly as good as they did a year ago. This time a year ago, we had a lot more snow in the western U.S. And just because I brought it up last week, I do want to show you that the Colorado Basin, which is currently sitting about 85% of average right now, we need to get the snowpack up throughout the remainder of this winter to really ensure a good water year for those folks that use the Colorado River. So this morning, most of the attention's in the west, widespread fog across parts of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and then the big area there in the central part of the country in the northern plains. But flood watches, winter storm warnings, that's all going on here, including high wind warnings in parts of the west. So some high-res models. Ready? Let's go ahead and play this through Monday. Look at the flow just coming into Southern California all the way through early Tuesday morning. And what will happen is one low exits and spins up here and gets going fast. We're going to have hurricane force winds in this. We're going to notice that this low finally emerges in the northern plains by the time we get to the middle of the week. And we're going to see where that one's going to go in a moment. But overall, this pattern is being driven by the subtropical jet, and it continues through the middle of the month and beyond. The only thing of significant change is that we're going to start to build some ridging into Alaska once we get past the middle of the month, which will let some colder air out, but no real strong polar jet to speak of. And I bring that up because the one area that's been largely left out of this flow because of no polar jet since the beginning of the new year has been the northern plains and upper Midwest. Looking at precipitation ranks, that's what we've got. That's one area that's remained dry, and it's going to take a while to get good moisture back in there. I've got sun coming now, but we need a whole lot more than that. So how's it going to get there? Well, let's just pick up with the GFS versus the European and watch the system in the west move through the Great Basin into the Front Range, and by Wednesday, Thursday, start to deliver some snow into this section of the country. It's in both models. There'll be so much mild air, though. It'll be rain in parts of North and South Dakota, getting into Minnesota out of this system. And that one rolls through, drives a front across the Mississippi into the Mid-South, and pulls that eventually to the east. And once we get into this next weekend, the models split. We have one that tries to drive his system through the Midwest, followed by a little clipper. The European wants to keep this system much farther to the south today. And the model agreement is just not as good as we'd like. So let's just keep it in check here and just say, what about the next week? So take a look. There is some much needed moisture coming into this area from the system that is pummeling California right now. That's the European 7-day. That's the GFS 7-day. Pretty good agreement overall, except beyond 7 days, what it's doing right here in the midsection of the country. What that'll do is change this map. This is the snowfall map expected over the next 7 days, and I love every bit of this. We need this pretty badly. We need this in the Intermountain West. We need this in the Sierra Nevada. The GFS is on board, but it's got that stronger system coming out next. I mean, this is a ways out here. This is more than a week, well, about a week out coming into this area we'll keep an eye on. Now, for perspective, adding that snow into that region, we need it. This is what our snow water equivalent map looks like. We had a lot of mild air for the last 15 days. That's eliminated a lot of that snow as the great storehouses of cold air have become Alaska and Greenland once again. But can we dislodge some of that? Hopefully. We'll take a look. Who's going to be adding up some snow over the next 10 days? This is the probability of grabbing an inch. Here's the chance of getting 3 inches. Take a close look. And here's the chance of getting 6 inches. So hopefully we're kind of watching your area as I click through that. On the precipitation side of it, total precipitation side of it, we got some spots that are going to be dry. Big section here of the center United States down into western Texas, and a larger area that's going to be seeing less than half of an inch out of this pattern. The flow is just too far south to make big systems come through here consistently. On the wetter side of it, this is where the flow is, south, see? And that's where the best chance of grabbing an inch. Here's 2 inches in California down here, best chance at 4. The pattern will evolve to give us more high latitude ridging, which will help drive colder air to the south, but it also gives us northwest flow in through here, which is why things are drier. The subtropical jet stays to the south where it's wetter. So on the temperature side of it, let's run through it real quick. Today's highs compared to average, look at Tuesday and Wednesday in the midsection of the country. We're going to be cracking 60 in a couple places here in the western Corn Belt. Thursday into Friday, the warmth moves east. The west stays cool. Day 5 through 10 looks something like this, but notice the displacement of the cold air here. It shows up finally, being let out once we get out there past Valentine's Day. That's your next 2 weeks. Please watch the in-depth video. Pick it up right here as I discuss the longer range stuff if you want to see it. Because what we're going to dig into is what's going on with El Nino, what kind of signals is it giving us, and what did the new European model suggest about spring. We're going to compare that to historical events in El Nino. A lot of fun composite maps to stare at there on that longer range video. But to finish us up today, I want to go to South America because the heat that was in Argentina is backing off. Where is it warm? Europe, Russia, except for Scandinavia, and much of the eastern half of North America. Take a look at what's going on in the next 10 days globally. And let's zoom in down here where the biggest changes are happening in Argentina to wrap this up. Over the next 10 days, watch this. There's a front coming up from the south that's going to stop this heat wave that's been in Argentina and probably deliver some decent rains into this region, breaking that heat wave. Farther to the north, normal precipitation pattern. The drier area is southern Brazil. And just I'll finish on this. This is a quick look at what's going on with the harvesting progress in Mato Grosso of soybeans and the planting of corn, safrinha corn in Mato Grosso. So not too far off of average, is a little bit ahead of pace on harvest right now. The big question will be how well does the corn crop finish, given there's concerns late for dryness in April and May, right in those key areas. We'll talk about that all week actually, but I'll leave you off there. Thanks for listening this morning. Have a good one.